What's good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony, aka the Center of the Chaos of Controversy. And before I step outside to give my thoughts on this video, on this particular part, because what it is I was watching the Amazing Lucas reaction to Brandon Tatum's video on why black people hates ex-officer Brandon Tatum. And I kid you not, the fucking video, the reaction video was gold. It was priceless. Fucking the Basil Lucas went in on him. And of course, when you go down the comment section, you had people hating on Lucas because he don't share Brandon Tatum's point of views. And everybody always run to Brandon Tatum's defense. And it's like you can't see through the holes of his hypocrisy. You can't see how he just say things like this is the one thing that I have a problem with. I tell you what my biggest problem is. How can you have a problem with other people, judge other people, exploit their flaws, and then you do a video talking about how you wasn't that great of a character? But what if people went back and did what you do to other people and use your past against you? You know what I'm saying? But it's okay for you to do that to other black people. But what if black people did that to you? See, we're not talking about your past. We're talking about you in the present. That's the difference. We're talking about your rhetoric. We're talking about how you undermine and bash the black community. But this right here, I must have been tired. I must have been like, okay, whatever. And I must have been on autopilot when I was watching Brandon Tatum's actual video on why black people hate him. But this part right here, I don't see how I allowed this one to slide. But hold up.
And they've been divorced in to a certain degree. They play sides, right?
Okay.
I remember if my mama would have said anything about my daddy, and when I was a kid, I actually slapped my mama before. When I was
Hold up. He said when he was a kid, he actually slapped his mama.
This man said when he was a kid, he slapped his mom. How can you talk about criminals with such fervor? You a criminal yourself.
Thank you.
What? Not only do you have a record, but you talk about how you slapped your mom?
Yo, I'm gonna stop right there. I gotta go outside. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Gotta take a journey through the darkness. Doo-doo-doo.
Door open.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yo. If there ever was you know what? I'm gonna give you a backstory on something. You know what I'm saying? Cause this is to let you know the extent of black people. Now, I have a story. It is not out of convenience. I'm gonna tell you. This is my story time. Okay? When I was young, when I was a kid, I must have been in the 8th grade or something. And I did something because I'm gonna say I was a hard-headed kid. I did shit that, test my parents' patience and stuff like that. And, as far as discipline goes, yeah, I got my butt whipped quite often. The belt was always hung behind my door. Okay? So, needless to say, I forgot what it was that I did. But my mom went to go spank me, and the belt broke. And I laughed. And she said, oh, okay, so you think that shit's funny, right? She goes, I'll give you something to laugh about. So she goes in the kitchen, she grabs the broom, and she starts beating on me with the fucking broom, right? And, I accepted the ass whooping up until she hit me in my throat with the broomstick. So I grabbed the broom, right? So we're playing tug of war at this point with the broom. And she said, let go. Okay, so I did as you commanded. I let go of the fucking broom. As soon as I let go, because we was tugging back and forth, when I let go, she fell back on her ass. And my sister, because like it was like a hallway. So my sister's room was on this end, my room, the bathroom, and then you go through the threshold and it takes you out to the living room, whatever. Well, she was embarrassed. So she said, "Oh, okay, I got something for your ass. Wait till your father gets home." So I'm like, okay, whatever. Now, this is the part of my childhood that I didn't like. It was dark. Um, and like I said, just because like my upbringing was how should I say, where I was fortunate as far as like education, being spoiled and whatever, not having to grow up in the projects or the ghetto, but in an actual home in the neighborhood or whatever. Sometimes what went on inside the home wasn't always pleasant. Okay, so I got waking up out of my sleep, out of a dead sleep, when my father got home because he worked second shift. To him wailing in my face, beating the brakes off of me because my mom turned around and said that I hit her, which was a lie. My sister got up and she said, "What are you doing?" And he hit his mom, whatever, 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 whatever. I'm not gonna disrespect any child putting his hands on my wife, my whatever, whatever, whatever. She goes, he didn't hit him, and he told my sister to shut the fuck up and go back to bed, or else she was gonna get some too. Okay, now I tell that story not to put my parents in a bad light, but that's what I've experienced. That's what happened and stuff. And I had to go to school with bruises because he had this watch on and it just came loose while he was wailing me in my face and shit like that. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good at that time. Later, years later, when we revisited that particular episode in my life, he apologized and he said, "I didn't know that your mom, would go to those lengths of actually like fabricating certain events that took place and it, put your kids in a predicament." And I said, "Yeah, and my sister usually was the one to get it the worst from my mom or our mom or whatever, but anyways, neither here nor there." But the point of me saying that is like for Brandon Tatum to sit there and say, "Oh yeah, if you said something bad about my dad or whatever, you would get it," because he was in disbelief, whatever. And to the point where he slapped his mom. Now, I'm saying this because any black family knows if you raise your hand to your parents, especially your mom, that's damn near a death sentence. You pretty much written your own death certificate. You may as well pick out your casket, go get your suit fitted, get get who you want as the pallbearers and shit like that. Because that's your funeral, bro. So, like Amazing Lucas pointed out, like how the fuck can you sit there and fix your mouth in front of your audience, in front of the people, your followers, and the people who you pander to, and throw shade on other people, put other people down, judge other people, point out their flaws and where they wrong, and you got a record, you disrespected your mom, you have your nigga moments and stuff, like it's like the more you start like revealing and pulling back the layers of who you really are, Brandon Tatum, it's like it's like you don't have no room to speak on anybody else. You don't have no room to have an opinion about somebody else. Because like I said, I don't throw people up under the bus to make myself look good. I know that I'm a flawed individual. I know that, there's things that I've entertained in my life that I've had to take accountability for. And I couldn't sit there in denial and be like, oh, no, no, that wasn't me. No, 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 no. I'm perfect this, I'm perfect that. Nah, 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 nah. And in order to justify my position of where I am now, just to like take the focus off of me and cast it on somebody else, nah, nah. That game right there, nah. And to some of these people who run to your defense, whether they be black or white, I mean, you have a right to choose who you follow. You have a right to choose who you support. You know what I'm saying? But even I put you like this, even though like case in point, like I follow some people. I'm not always in agreement with the people who I follow. I'm not always in agreement with their opinions or their perspectives. I sit there and I challenge them. I challenged them. I said, "Well, wait a minute. Hold up, wait a minute. Okay, I understand this is, your take on the situation, but hold up. I'm going to have to correct you on this situation cuz even though you're saying this, well, what about this? How you going to be dismissive of this particular argument or the facts in this particular case? Is it out of convenience? Is it just so you can have someone to support your narrative or where you feel that you ain't never in the wrong? Come on now. Even when people check me, if I have an opinion about something or if I have like a narrow perspective on something, if somebody else comes in under my comments or into the chat and say, "Hey Tony, I understand where you're coming from, but hold up, wait a minute. Let me share something with you. Let me what you gonna call it, inform you of this." You know, and they don't say that I'm wrong. They say I understand where you're coming from because yeah, I've dealt with this also. Whatever. However, however, um, what is also true is that if you look over here in this demographic, this is how people are over here, or whatever the case may be. This is how they handle situations. This is how they interact with each other. It's not so much of this hostile, whatever, going back and forth, whatever the case may be. And that's a healthy debate right there. Agree to disagree without being disrespectful or being dismissive of someone else's experience or, things that people know to have validation to and not be completely, whatever, ignorant about it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, before, it's your presentation and how you present things. And again, like I said, people don't necessarily in the black community have a problem with Brandon Tatum. What they have a problem with is his delivery, his message, and who's receiving the message. And then he wants to talk about division, but he don't acknowledge that how he comes across with his rhetoric promotes division. Like me, like I said, I don't encourage people to go against each other, fight each other, look down on one another and stuff like that. All I ask is people to say acknowledge, recognize, be aware of, you know, because if you give this false sense of illusion where you encourage people to be delusional about certain things, and they're like, oh, okay, if I come across this officer and I'm just like, conduct myself in this, nothing will ever happen to me. It don't always work out like that. I'm sorry, it's not that cut and dry. How you might deal with officers in New York, how you might deal with officers in LA, Georgia, Connecticut, Chicago, or whatever, might not be how you deal with these Mayberry cops or whatever the case may be, where you have this small percentage of crime, or the small percentage of population, or where everything seems like in Pleasantville. You know what I'm saying? And where people, attitudes are different. I mean, there's a lot of things you have to take into account, into consideration when it comes to dealing with certain cases. But like I said, as he gets defensive, as Officer Brandon Tatum gets defensive and comes to the aid of and support of officers and stuff, intentionally and purposely neglecting the facts that there are fucked up officers with ulterior motives and messed up agendas, and because they are in a position of power, they abuse that power. And how you can just intentionally ignore a lot of these cases, I'm not talking about these cases that, you can have a matter of opinion where there's a gray area where you could say, yeah, I can understand this, however, or it's just like blatantly, oh, he got what he deserved, case closed or whatever. Then there's those cases about, what about people that haven't done anything wrong? And the cops just all in their emotions, all in their feelings, asserting their authority. Or if you like looked a certain way, or if you did this, and they're like out the car, boom, slam, messing you up, softening them up, as Brandon would say. Come on now. And and then I was under the. And then you had a lot of white people saying, well, black people this and black people that. If you only complied, but then because I was told, you make it out to be just a black issue. So when I said, okay, all right, fair enough. I looked up, and to my surprise, I seen white people getting fucked over by the police. So I'm like, okay, so what's your argument now? Because what about the white people who don't comply and stuff like that? Or what about the white people who haven't done anything wrong? Because I've done videos about that too, where white people have complied, where white people were given just not even seconds to respond to a command, or when you got officers giving confusing orders and stuff like that. You got one officer telling you to do one thing and another officer telling you to do this, and because you following this officer's instruction, this officer's tasing you and shit like that. Like, what the fuck? But Officer Brandon Tatum don't talk about those scenarios. There's another, how should I say, YouTube channel that I follow. I can't remember the name of it, but it's an officer. He's a black officer. And I say, it's refreshing to have a person like you. That's the opposite of a Brandon Tatum. And he has videos. He shows videos of the police misconduct. And he said, you know what? In my training, we aren't taught to escalate a situation. We are taught that, when it comes to a situation, we exercise every option before it comes down to the final, course of action that we don't want to take. And then he'll go through every video and he'll say, okay, okay, this person was wrong. Hey, by policy, this is what had to happen. Or he'll say, oh, nope, the cop did this. He shouldn't have done that. He violated policy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like he balances the scales. He's fair. Brandon Tatum, he don't do that. And that's another problem. And this is what I'm saying. And this is what I don't get, how his followers, his fan base or whatever, either they're aware and they know, or they're in complete denial because of what comes out this man's mouth. Oh, he used to be an officer. Hey, I could say, hey, I used to be a preacher. But then when somebody say, yeah, he was a preacher or a pastor, but he slept with this woman in the congregation, he slept with that woman in the congregation, he slept with this person's wife, that person's wife. You know what I'm saying? Or when you want to talk about pedophiles and stuff like that. But then you give these priests a pass for touching the boys in the choir or having their way with the boys in the choir. Oh, but because it's the church, and the church has so many followers and believers, we can't say nothing bad about the priests who they follow. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a man of God. But so that means just because he's a man of God, he's still a man. He's still subjected to temptation. He's still subjected to being a flawed individual. He's still subjected to doing some fucked up shit. Just because he has the title of priest. You see where I'm getting at? You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is just because you're an officer doesn't mean that you aren't capable of making the same errors in judgment, acting based on emotion, influenced to be tempted by temptation to where you find yourself in some corruption scandal. To where you have the ability to, I don't know, abuse your position of power to where you affect someone's life to the extent where they can never bounce back because maybe you have an issue with that person. So now you want to retaliate or hold some kind of vendetta against them, and because you're a man with the badge and the gun, and you can say, oh well, you know what? They're always gonna believe me because they're always gonna take the word of an officer. They're never gonna question me and what I say. Come on now. Come on now. So it makes me wonder why Officer Brandon Tatum became an officer. What? Because he craved that position of authority where nobody could tell him anything, but he was able to tell other people. So, you know, if it goes to talk about the content of his character. If you weren't a person that acknowledged or gave a damn about respect, but you demanded it. Because yeah, I seen that video with you going off on Hotep Jesus. Yeah, I seen that video where somebody text you or called you or whatever and got you kind of all up in your emotions and stuff where that ignorant was coming out. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just saying. But I suggest people go watch that video that the Amazing Lucas did as a reaction to Brandon Tatum's Why Black People Hate Him and stuff like that. I mean, it's like, in my opinion, it's comedy gold. It's kind of like when you have a what you gonna call it all right. It's kind of like when you have a Nas and Jay-Z beef, which might turn into a Biggie and Tupac beef, you know, because I don't see either one of them backing down if they ended up confronting each other about this content that was put out there. I'm just saying. So it's very interesting to see if Brandon Tatum reacts to the Amazing Lucas reaction video that he did on his video. I so much want to see how that's going to turn out. Is Brandon Tatum going to be passive and just let it go and not respond? Or is he going to not allow his pride, or is he going to allow his pride to get the better of him and allow his ignorance to resurface to where he's like, that's my secret. What's that? Brandon Tatum Ruckus. I'm always angry. Anyway, I'll just fucking shoot the shit. But anyway, until next time, until next video. Wow. Please like, share, subscribe, and give me your feedback on this. I mean, even if you're a follower of Brandon Tatum and you feel like you want to come in and attack me because of the videos that I made, but you're free to come in because that's the whole beauty of this country. We have the rights to freedom of expressions. Because you know I'm going to dog y'all out anyway. Anyway, peace.